Hi, everyone. Last week, we started a new unit in math and we did a lot of learning about pennies. Today, we are going to expand our learning and talk about a new coin, and that coin is called the dime. We also have spoken about the dime before, like I said last week, when we have done our calendar routine in the past. So you've seen this coin before, but today we're really going to dig deeper, just like we did with the penny last week. And we're going to learn about the history of dimes, why they look the way they look, what they're made out of, all those kinds of things. And then I'm going to show you what you're going to be doing in Seesaw for your activity. So we're going to continue the video we started last week with pennies. I skipped the second coin because they talk about nickels second, and we're going to skip nickels for now. We're just going to go right to dimes. So I want you to watch this video, and then I'll tell you what we're going to do next.
Third coin is the dime. The dime is a silver-colored coin made of both copper and nickel that has President Franklin D. Roosevelt on it. The back of the dime features a torch with two olive branches. Pretty cool, huh? So when you see a coin that has a torch and two olive branches on the back, you know that it's a dime. This is pretty interesting. The dime is the smallest size coin, but don't let the size trick you. It's worth more than the nickel and the penny combined. A dime, how much is it worth? Well, a dime is worth 10 cents, which is the same as 10 pennies. Wow, what's easier to carry around? A little dime that's worth 10 cents or 10 pennies? Oh my goodness. The dime, a really small silver-colored coin with President Franklin D. Roosevelt on the front, and on the back, a torch with two olive branches. It's the same as 10 pennies, but it's a lot easier to carry around. At least, I would think, right? The dime. Pretty cool. Oh.
Okay, so lots of interesting information about the dime. It is kind of cool to know that one dime is the same as 10 pennies, right? And lots of times we use larger coins when we can because it's much easier to carry around one coin that equals 10 cents versus 10 coins that equal 10 cents. Okay, so we're going to take a look at this book now about dimes. Some of the information will sound familiar to you because you might have heard it in the video that we just watched. But hopefully a lot of it will be new. What is a dime? Dimes are U.S. coins. They are worth 10 cents. One dime can be written like this, 10 cents or 10 cents like this with the dollar sign. 10 pennies make one dime. 10 dimes make $1. And then this is a picture of two nickels. Nickels are worth 5 cents, and so that means two nickels are worth one dime because we know that two fives, 5, 10, is the same as one dime, which is 10. Franklin Delano Roosevelt is on the front of the dime. A torch and tree branches are on the back, and we know Franklin Delano Roosevelt is a president he is a president, and it shows that here the letter P on the coin right here shows that it was made in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and here is the year that the coin was made, 1987. So if you have a dime at home, you can check and see where it was made by looking at the letter and the year that it was made by looking at the year. The United States Mint makes coins. We learned this last week when we read about pennies. The U.S. Mint is part of the U.S. government. The first U.S. 10-cent coins were minted in 1792, so a long time ago. A woman was on the front of the first 10-cent coins. Her name was Lady Liberty. An eagle was on the back. This is similar to what we heard last week. Remember the first pennies had Lady Liberty on them too, or the Statue of Liberty? Franklin Delano Roosevelt was put on the dime in 1946. The U.S. Mint wanted to honor him. Roosevelt had died 1 year earlier from a stroke. So this is Franklin Delano Roosevelt. He was the 32nd president of the United States, and he led the country through the Great Depression and World War II. So we learned last week that Abraham Lincoln was on the penny because he did a lot of really important things as a president, and so did Franklin Delano Roosevelt. So when he died, they decided to honor him and put him on the dime. Making a dime. Dimes are made from nickel and copper. Nickel and copper are metals. At the U.S. Mint, machines cut metal into discs. A coin press stamps designs on the discs. The U.S. Mint sends dimes to banks. Dimes travel all over the country. Each dime has its own history. And then here's this little timeline, just like last week. So the first U.S. 10-cent coins were minted in 1792, which is over 200 years ago, almost 220 years ago. Then in 1916, the U.S. Mint made a new dime design, and they added wings to Lady Liberty's head. In 1938, Franklin D. Roosevelt formed the March of Dimes Foundation. It raised money to fight a disease called polio, which was a disease at the time that was really hard it was really common, and a lot of people got very sick from it. So Franklin D. Roosevelt formed this foundation to try and raise money to find a cure for it. And 1946, Franklin D. Roosevelt first appeared on the dime. Okay, here's some fast facts. The first U.S. 10-cent coins were made in 1792 before the U.S. Mint building was built. The first time a 10-cent coin was made in a U.S. Mint building was in 1796. Americans mailed more than 2 million dimes to the White House in 1938. The money went to the March of Dimes Foundation. So basically, the foundation was just collecting all of these dimes. That's why it was called the March of Dimes, to raise money. Many sayings use the word dime. To stop on a dime is to stop quickly. A dime a dozen means that something is cheap or easy to get. So these are kind of just famous expressions that you might have heard maybe your parents or another adult say. So if you say to stop on a dime, it doesn't actually mean to stop on a dime, the coin. It's just an expression that means to stop quickly. And a dime a dozen is an expression that means something's really easy to get or inexpensive. Okay. So now let's take a look at what you're going to be doing on Seesaw today. So there are two different activities that I want you to work on. The first one is just identifying dimes on a template that I posted. Okay, so it looks like this. It's called Dime Identify. Okay, so you'll see that on this sheet, there are a bunch of different coins. There's pennies, dimes, nickels, and quarters. What I want you to do is find all of the dimes. Now, there's a picture at the top of the front of the dime with Franklin Delano Roosevelt, and the back, which we learned has the torch and the two olive branches. So your job is to find the dimes, and when you find one, you can either circle it or you can X it out, whatever you want. So I'm going to decide that I want to circle all of them. So here's one I see. Here's two. If you want, you could even just color them in with the highlighter. Okay, so see how many you can find, and then I want you to record yourself pointing out the dimes to me and telling me how many dimes you found. Okay? The second activity, we are going to be counting change using dimes and pennies. Okay, so this one looks like this. It's called dimes and pennies. Okay, and what I want you to do here is you're going to count up the dimes and the pennies to find the total amount of money. Now, we know that dimes are worth 10 and we know that pennies are worth 1. They did us a big favor because it's always easier to count change when you put the coins that are worth more at the beginning, counting those up first. But you don't have to worry about that today because they already did that for us. So, since we have 4 dimes, we know that we're going to start out by counting by tens. So, let's do that together. 10, 20, 30, 40. We know that 4 groups of 10 is 40, and it's the same thing with dimes. 4 dimes equal 40 cents. Now, when we move to the pennies, we're not going to continue counting by tens because pennies are not worth 10, they're worth 1. So we have to think in our heads, if we're counting by ones, what number comes after 40? 41. So let's keep counting. 41, 42, 43, 44. So we know that in this row we have 44 cents. You're going to write the number 44 here, and then you're going to continue on. Okay? So you'll do the next 3 on your own. We did this one together, but really this is pretty simple. It's basically what we've been doing the whole year with counting by tens and ones. It's just instead of using base 10 blocks or tallies, we're using dimes and pennies. Okay? So I hope you have fun and I can't wait to see your work. See you later.